Hello, welcome to the final countdown for the worst things about modern gaming. Now, I was an idiot, and I forgot to change the audio output. So, when I first recorded this video, DSP's audio was muted. It was basically the opposite of what you would expect would happen in a Tevin video. Well, the old Tevin videos when you had the other headset, whatever. But I fixed it. I fixed the problem finally. So yeah, yay.
Alright, what is up everyone?
Wow.
Phil here for KOGaming, and it's time for the conclusion of my top 10 worst things about modern gaming countdown. If you already haven't, I again strongly urge you to watch the first two parts of this countdown by either clicking on your screen
Yeah, like this is a narrative fucking video, yeah.
right now or checking out the video description so that you can watch them in order and they'll make sense. Without further ado, here we go with the top 3 stinkers. Number 3, multiplayer-only games being released for full retail price, but not delivering a robust and full-fledged gameplay experience. This one has become an epidemic in the past few years. When we started hearing with the launch of this current generation of consoles that there was going to be a slew of games that would be multiplayer only, we kind of said, alright, well, it is a new generation, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But then,
well, like no, people played this game because they liked Respawn Entertainment because these were people who did Modern Warfare, and it also looked interesting. It wasn't like, oh man, because anyone who knows about online only games already knows the idea that the service can be shut down at any time. So yeah.
game after game after game.
It's just that's the only thing. I was very skeptical about these online only games because once the game's old enough, the servers will be shut down. Look at Mag. That was a multiplayer only game, and those servers are closed now. Excuse me. So now those games, the game Mag is now worthless. There's really no point to even buying it now. Maybe as a collector's item, but no one cares about Mag. I mean, yeah, and obviously there's differences because this is made by a very big company. So it's not like the servers are gonna close like tomorrow or something, but it's just like Metal Gear Solid 5, for example. It has Metal Gear Online 3 in it. If they close the servers for Metal Gear Online 3, you can still play the game because you can still go in and play Metal Gear Solid 5. I mean, yeah, it would suck when the servers are closed. Sure, it would suck. I mean, it happened in MGS4, but at least you have a game to play. It's not like, oh, well, now I can't play the game. Like,
and not delivering on their promise to give you a full-fledged gaming experience for a full game price. For example, Evolve launched with a pretty awesome beta that got everyone excited, but when the retail game released, only had a handful of monsters available, a handful of hunters available, and before you know it, within about a month's time, had paid for DLC to start buying new monsters and hunters. Now, most people who bought this game played it for about a week and a half till they realized it's just the same thing over and over because there's not enough gameplay content available in the retail release, and then felt, man, I really have to shell out more money if I want to keep playing this game because I want to see that new monster or experience the new abilities of that new hunter, and it became an insane nickel and dime ripoff. Well, here we are about a year and a half later, and guess what? Evolve is free to play because after that initial wave of sales,
that is kind of sad that a game that people paid $60 for is now a free-to-play game.
No one continued to buy the game, and it failed. Now how about Titanfall, the game from a previous group of game developers who knew all about the first-person shooter genre, and they promised a unique and robust gameplay experience. It wouldn't have a campaign, and a lot of people had issue with that, but instead it would have a wide amount of maps and tons of customization of your mechs. Alright, we all ran out and bought it, and what happened?
God,
the game ended up being pretty
Having to watch this a second time, I really hate his voice in KOGaming. because it sounds so dry, bland, boring, not even interested in what he's talking about. Like, he doesn't even sound like a human. Like, when I'm talking in this video, yeah, I'm trying to like speak slowly and kind of enunciate my words better so that you guys can understand me, but at least my tone feels genuine because I'm not staying in a robotic voice and saying, "Well, DSP is an annoying YouTuber. See, he does this." It's not that where it sounds so fucking annoying you want to rip your ears off. This, hearing it, is so annoying. I really have never heard I never watched a video that made me want to gouge my ear, rip my ears out, and like fucking Van Gogh. Like, I can't believe that this is how he talks and people are okay with it. It's so.
Lackluster, pretty bare bones. It really felt more like taping two genres of game together with kind of the run and wall jumping, double jumping, parkour style first person shooter of games like Unreal Tournament from the past, as well as recent Modern Warfare games, combining it with Mech Warrior and other mech style games. Nothing about this game felt unique, it just felt like they took tape and taped together a bunch of different other things that other people had done successfully, and it really was an underwhelming package. Again, people played the game for a couple of weeks till they got bored with it and then never went back to it. So once again, another game, $60 full price, not delivering on the promise of giving you a full-fledged gaming experience because you're tired of it after only a few sessions of gameplay. To make matters even worse, there's a whole other style of multiplayer game again being...
This has nothing to do with what the party just said, because those were talking about online. The point was online-only games. I mean, yeah, you need an online connection for Destiny and The Division, but you can play those games by yourself.
Sold for a full retail price tag that really just don't do anything to add anything to the gaming landscape or genre. They're really games that are made there to be more of a cooperative experience than an actual unique gameplay experience. I'm calling out recent games like Destiny, like The Division, where really the only way you're gonna get any kind of significant enjoyment out of them is by doing insanely repetitive and grinding gameplay. You're gonna be fighting hordes of the same enemy over and over and over until finally you get some loot or you complete an objective. And the bottom line is, the only way that these games can actually be experienced in an entertaining way is by playing them with a close group of friends or cooperative gamers who you're basically going to shoot the shit with, you're going to spend some social time with, and kind of have a social interaction. Which begs the question, are these kind of online multiplayer cooperative shooters actually gameplay experiences, or are they just a means to have an online hangout with your friends?
Let's talk about video games for a moment. Let's just talk about our most fondest memories. Well, I'm gonna talk about my fondest memory of playing video games was when I was a kid coming home with my friends and my brother playing Mario Kart 64, Conker's Bad Fur Day, the multiplayer, Banjo Tooie's multiplayer, Donkey Kong 64's multiplayer, Super Smash Brothers, so on and so on and so on and so on. Games have always been a social aspect of gaming. That's why we have online multiplayer. That's why we have a party system. That's why we have all this stuff. This would only be a bad thing if you're a hermit, like Phil is. Because he doesn't like being social, he doesn't like playing with friends, he wants to just be able to play a game by himself and have the online thing be kind of there, And it's just stupid to think like that. Yeah, games have gone a long way as a medium, and you have single-player game experiences and all that, but it's still a social experience because it's a form of media. A book you have a book club. That's a social experience. Movies, you have a viewing with your friends. Watching TV, playing video games. All these things are social things because they're developed for that. Because people make friends, and what's better than playing a game by yourself is having co-op. There's a reason if you dig into the Metal Gear community, there's a lot of people crying for Metal Gear Solid 5 to have co-op because people like playing with their friends. That was like the best thing about Peace Walker was being able to that game with friends. That's why if you go on the HD collection, if you play Peace Walker there and you go online, you see people playing those games still because it's fun playing him with other people because that's the enjoyment of it. Not like, oh man, can I play? So this is a stupid fucking point. I mean, he had a whatever point about the grinding and all that shit, but faulting a game for having social means is fucking stupid, and it misses the point completely of video games.
And if that's the case, why are we paying $60 for the initial game? Why are we paying $30+ for the expansions when all you're doing is the same shit over and over and over, and the only reason you get any enjoyment is because you did it with friends? There's plenty of things you could do with your friends that don't cost $60. So why don't you...
That's such a grandpa thing to say. Like, oh man, you could do anything and you don't have to play a video game to have fun with your friends. Just because a game is $60, it's just like, oh look, this game is co-op and it's $60. I don't care, it is what it is. Most games are $60. Okay, you know what? If I'm gonna be playing with a friend, why not? That's fine. Buy $60 and that's it. The only thing I didn't like about Destiny was that it felt so bare bones at launch. Now the Taken King and the Taken King Legendary Edition, I'm more inclined to buy it now because it has more stuff to do in it. Or at least more missions, whatever. But it being $60 is not a big deal. And the whole thing, like, oh, if you have friends, you can do other things than play video games. Like, you could say that about anything. This is such a dumb thing to even bring up, to be honest.
Do those instead, and that's what kind of boggles my mind about people that go so nuts over these new wave of cooperative shooters. And I say, I've been there and done that. I've played games like this before. There's nothing unique about this game. And I'll be honest here. Earlier in this year, 2016...
He sounds so salty about people liking these games and playing with friends. It's like, there's nothing remarkable about this. And it's like, yeah, but I just like playing with my friends. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun playing with my friends. And that's why it's a great game, and it's like, because I get to play with my friends. And it's like, no, well yeah, but like, you're playing with your friends. Who cares about that? Like, wow, like, he sounds such like a contrarian asshole about this that it's fucking stupid. It's really dumb. He sounds like the fucking Grinch about Christmas. Like, ugh.
When the Division was released, a lot of people gave me shit.
Now he's drinking off his decision not to play the Division.
Because I did not play the game in early March. I said, you know what, this game doesn't look like it's going to be something that's going to interest me. I'm going to skip out on it and not try it out because it seems it's a game that's only going to be available to have fun if you're playing with friends and doing this grinding style gameplay. So I skipped the game. And guess what? Since then, not one single person has come to me and explained to me what I missed out on or why I should have played it. In fact, when I've collectively asked my viewer base, what did I miss out on in the Division? They're like, nothing.
Because maybe your viewer base was waiting for you to play it so they know if they like the game, but I like how he expects his fans to give him all this information for him. He can't look for himself. He can't look at people playing the game. He can't do any basic research. He has to have his fans tell him if the game is good or not. That's so fucking sad. And it's just stupid. And I like how he says,
it's the same kind of...
Nothing is nothing. It's exactly what you'd expect, grinding. But how does he know that? He never played the game. And, when people say, oh, you missed nothing, that's subjective. Because, take for instance, let's say that there's 3 people, me and 2 other people. One guy asks, what did I miss in Metal Gear Solid 5? I skipped the game and I missed it. Did I miss anything? Whatever. One guy says, oh, you missed nothing, it's boring, it's this, blah, 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 blah. And then I say, no, man, you missed, like, a great experience, the environment is great, the open world, and the game is amazing, and listen, I could go on why I like Metal Gear Solid 5, but you get the point. I might say you missed a lot, some other guy might say you missed nothing. That's what an opinion is. You can't just listen to the guy who says, oh, you missed nothing, and say, that's fact. right there, that sums up everyone's experience perfectly. No, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Just like you can't say that what I said perfectly sums up the entire experience either, because it's so subjective to people that you have to look at what you want, and you have to know what the game is. How do you know the Division is grinding? You don't. He doesn't know that. He just assumes it's grinding because he thinks it's like Destiny.
Grinding repetitive game you play with a million times before, only now it's a newer one, so everyone jumped to it because it's the new hotness, and then it kind of dies out after a couple weeks because people realize it's just the same shit over.
No, people just stop talking about it because it's not relevant anymore. People can still play the game and not talk about it. It's not like they have to talk about it every month for it to be like a good game. That's fucking stupid. At that point, then Skullgirl's Second Encore, no one cares about that game because no one talks about it. I'm probably the only one that talks about Skullgirl's Second Encore like it's the best fighting game on the planet because it is. But that's fucking stupid. Because then that's so dumb. His logic is dumb.
Over and over, and it's only fun when you're playing with friends. Why do we keep dumping money into franchises like this? Why did Destiny make so much effing money when it's the same fucking shit reshoveled down our throats? I don't understand it. It's killing gaming as a whole when these budgets and these...
It's killing gaming as a whole. Making games where you can play with your friends is killing gaming. You know, the thing that, people like because of playing with your friends? Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Let's get rid of that and just have every game be a single-player experience. Let's see how long the video game industry will last if they just did single-player narrative games. Let's see how long that lasts, honestly. The only people that would probably play are people like Phil. The hardcore gaming audience that's already here would leave. They would leave if we got games that were just narrative-driven games, because then what's the point? I mean, there's no fun in just doing the same fucking narrative content shit. But it's just fucking stupid to say that this is killing gaming. I mean, if you just said that Destiny was a bland game and, it took them until the Taken King to release the full game or, whatever, fine, that's fine. But saying that, this is what's killing gaming is fucking stupid.
Kind of development efforts could be going towards games that have some kind of a narrative where they advance the genre or they do something creative. Instead, we're wasting money on this repetitive crap that...
And then here's the other thing, like, creativity can only go so far, because at one point, whatever you thought you have, someone has already done it. Someone has already done what you thought in your mind. Like, I had a character design where they have, like, a little camera on their shoulder or whatever, and then I don't know if it was Lost Planet or some other game, but I saw that design there, and it's not like, they stole my idea, but it's like, someone has your idea. It's bound to happen.
Doesn't deliver, and that's a shame. Number 2, season passes, in particular, those that are being sold before the game even releases. Now, this is a practice that's become...
Okay, season passes, I think had a good intention. It originally wanted to circumvent or just kind of do away with re-releasing the game that you already own just for the expansion. Kind of like what people shat on for Street Fighter 4, like, Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, like, that kind of shit. And, for the most part, it's been great. But, what he's about to say, again, since I watched this is my second time watching it, the season pass really, you can't prove that, they released the season pass before the game released. That means that the content in the season pass could have been in the game. That doesn't necessarily prove that. It just proves that they had the notion of content before. You can't really prove anything with season passes, and that's kind of how developers are getting around that you can't prove or disprove that the content in the season pass was originally in the game or not. You can't really prove that unless you look in the code for it, which only PC gamers can do, as far as I know. But it's just kind of a slippery slope, and I don't really like season passes, to be honest. To me, I only like season passes if they're at the right price. Just saying.
Increasingly more commonplace with the digital era. Now that games are digital, you can easily release DLC content for it without having to worry about putting it on a physical disc. And now, game publishers and developers have become incredibly greedy. And I mean it when I say it, because the bottom line is, if there is a season pass or a DLC that's being offered for sale before the game even released to the retail market, it means that that piece of DLC was already imagined, the groundwork was already written, and it very well could have been part of the main.
But how do you know this, Phil? Did you like do you go through the gaming's code and see, oh, this Batman story, it was here all along, but it has to be downloaded. Like, it's not like, you know, people like found that the versus mode in Resident Evil 5 was on the disc. Like, you know, remember when Resident Evil 5 came out and people found the versus mode DLC that was already on the disc?
Retail release of the game. It's an absolute cop-out that these game developers claim it's something separate that they're working on later. It's not, or else they couldn't pre-sell it because they wouldn't know that it exists. They're absolute.
But they could always have the groundwork for DLC, but they just didn't have anything concrete yet. They're like, oh, we're making DLC. We have nothing concrete, but we're making it. We know, like, and before even the game released for Arkham Knight, they actually listed everything that was in the season pass. That's how I knew not to buy it, because there was like 2 things I wanted in that season pass. Because I knew everything else was like, oh, I could get that later if I really want it, but there was like 2 things I wanted, so there you go.
Absolutely full of shit. Now the problem here is some of these season passes are being sold in $20, $30, $40, $50, sometimes even $60 double.
To me, above $40 and above, terrible deal. I would never buy a season pass if it's over 40. 30, maybe. If I'm really a hardcore fan, maybe. I don't know. 20 is fine. $20 is a fair price.
Doubling the price of the game. And in a lot of cases, you don't even know what you're getting when you pre-order the season pass. In recent years, there have been season passes sold for various games where you are not even promised exactly what you're going to get. In particular, Batman Arkham Knight comes to mind, where
again, they told you exactly what was in the season pass. I found it. I actually didn't have to look for it because I followed the Batman Arkham page on Facebook, and it was right there.
We were promised an indefinite amount of narrative-based stories, plus there would be.
They never promised indefinite amount of story DLC. They never promised that.
Skins and challenge maps and new characters added to the game, and then over the course,
well, at least as far as I know, at least
of the year as the DLCs were released, we became incredibly underwhelmed as only 2 different narrative packs were ever released. The 2 new characters that were added were only 15-minute mini stories, and everything else ended up being a fucking driving stage or skin for the game, which if you've already beaten it, why do you care about that crap?
Because the thing is that I do play Arkham Knight from time to time because they finally fixed the challenge mode. I love the challenge mode in Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, even Arkham Origins, even though that wasn't a Rocksteady game. But the challenge mode was always great. In Arkham Knight, for some reason, they fucking changed it, and I hated it. And now they're like, oh, you like the fighting maps? Okay, here's more fighting maps. You have round-based maps now, more infinite enemy spawning maps. And each character you pick, you can choose what character you want to play as, and the challenge mode will be tailored to that character. Like Harley Quinn, for example, since she has like an instant kill, like berserk mode, they give you more characters with shields and tasers, because otherwise it would be a cakewalk. So they do some stuff like that to make it more challenging for each character. So that's what I like, and that's the whole enjoyment of the Arkham game. So that's why I play Arkham Knight from time to time, is because of that.
But no one knew that's what it was going to be when that season pass was pre-sold, so a ton of people.
They did. They announced what was in the season pass when they released it. They're like, this is what's in the season pass. If you even look at the description, I'm sure the description on the store tells you what it includes. I'm sure it does.
People pre-bought it only to be incredibly disappointed. A season pass that I recently got burnt on was Fallout 4. Now, in its defense, at least the game developers of Fallout 4 didn't really promise much up front. They didn't say what it was going to be besides maybe at least one narrative expansion. And if you pre-ordered this season pass early on, you actually paid a much cheaper price than people who jumped in halfway and ended up paying a little bit more as Bethesda decided to develop more and more content for the season pass. But the bottom line is this: Fallout 4 has always had DLCs based on narrative. What I mean to say is the Fallout franchise has always had DLCs based on narrative. Take a look at Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. Every single DLC was a new story introducing new characters. You got unique and epic loot. You went to new locations. And that, simply put, is just not the case with Fallout 4 DLCs. It's now been announced there will only be 5 expansions. Out of those 5, 4 have already been released. And out of those 4, 3 of them are just new ways of crafting. Whether it's crafting your own custom.
You know, watching the second time, I just realized something. So he said 5 DLCs, right? Okay, so 4 of them. Out of the 4, wait, hold on, actually, I have to list that again.
Expansions. Out of those 5, 4 have already been released, and out of those 4, 3 of them are just new ways of crafting.
Never mind. So yeah, that adds up. Whoops, never mind. Thank God I caught myself before I said something stupid, right?
Whether it's crafting your own customized robot or new crafting so you can make a better house or living space for yourself, and the most recent one where you can actually make your own vault. Whoopity freaking do. I hate to say.
The thing is that, like, if you like the crafting system in Fallout 4, you probably loved these DLCs. I'm sure you did, and Season Pass was worth it. And most probably bought it when it was on sale. For me, I missed out on the sale because I kind of stopped playing Fallout 4. I kind of got bored, but I might go back to it. But I didn't buy the Season Pass because I didn't want to buy a Season Pass to a game that I might just be dropping completely. I didn't want to just buy a Season Pass for the sake of it. So I missed out on that. But I didn't get that far to play with the crafting. But I don't really care about that shit regardless. So yeah, I'm probably gonna skip the crafting DLC and then just go straight to the story DLC that they're releasing, the 2 story DLC packs that they're releasing. If I ever get far in Fallout 4, of course. But if you like crafting, that's great. But man, for people who don't like crafting and you bought the season pass, that's kind of shitty. I mean, I hope you got it when it was on sale. That's all I have to say to you.
Say this, Bethesda, you lost track of what your fan base likes, because the bottom line is the people who play Fallout don't play it for the crafting. There's 5 million other fucking games on the planet Earth we can play to craft in. Fallout is one we can play for the narrative, for the awesome stories, the characters.
For the narrative. I've never heard anyone talk about Fallout story. I might have said this before in another video that he mentioned Fallout 4 in, but the only thing every time I talk to people about Fallout, they talk about the gameplay more than the story. The story is like, oh yeah, the story's good, yeah, what to do. But about the gameplay, let me tell you about the gameplay. Like, that's all I've been hearing about Fallout.
Interaction, the immersion of the universe. Sitting in a fucking crafting bench making a neon sign is not my idea of a valid immersive experience for a paid DLC. And the bottom line is, I bought the season pass of Fallout 4 with the impression that this would be similar to the DLCs of previous Fallout games, of which it was not. So far, there's only been 1 main story-based DLC, and apparently there's going to be 1 more, and that's it. So I basically paid a big amount of money for only 2 things out of 5 that I even enjoyed. Again, it's a bait and switch, and it's incredibly fucking annoying. My final word on these season passes, and the reason that I don't like them, is because the consumer doesn't have control over knowing what they're going to receive. If you're going to go buy a $60 game at the store, you know you're supposed to be getting a full gameplay experience.
But a lot of people who know that a game has a season pass, they wait for the complete edition of it. That's how people have always been. I remember when Arkham Knight was around the corner of being released, every single person said, "Oh, I'm waiting for the Game of the Year edition. I'm not gonna buy it day one because of all the DLC that they have for it." So people are waiting for the Game of the Year edition for Arkham Knight, which I think is coming out, to be honest. But yeah, people are waiting. Wait for that kind of shit. They don't buy it day one anymore. The only people who buy it day one are like the hardcore fans who want to play the game right then and now instead of waiting for the complete edition. I mean, that's how it's always been, and I'm sure when Injustice 2 comes out, I'm sure people are gonna wait for the Injustice 2 complete edition to come out.
And 9 times out of 10, you can either watch an advanced review or someone who got the game ahead of you, and you can look at a little bit of gameplay and figure out if that's a game that's your cup of.
But Phil, didn't you say that early copies are awful and that they're a terrible practice? Now you were just saying what everyone says is good about early games. Now you're saying that it's good, but tomorrow you're gonna say that it's bad again, though. Okay.
These season passes, there's no opportunity until the full-fledged release to know anything about these DLCs. You don't know what you're getting, and in the case of a game like Fallout 4, if you didn't jump on and get it quickly, you ended up paying more later. So how many people bought the season pass quickly to save money just to get shafted when they found out a lot of stuff in here they weren't interested in? Season passes, the bottom line is, should be a part of the retail release if they were already being designed before the game has gone gold and been released to the public. It is completely 100%.
But again, you can't prove that the content in the season pass is already made and planned for the game. You can't really prove that. The only basis you're going off of is that, oh, they have to know what the content is before they sell the season pass, but they can always sell you the season pass without any concrete information. They might know the general gist of the DLC and still sell you the season pass.
For game developers and publishers to nickel and dime the customer to squeeze more money out of them for something that may or may not be quality, and a lot of the times feels like more of an afterthought than anything else. It's complete greed, and it needs to stop. The bottom line is, the only way we're going to stop it is by not buying those season passes ourselves. So you know what? Next time I see one, I'm skipping out.
This is like the second time or third time he said, I'm skipping out on season passes, even though he buys season passes. Yeah, okay.
Number 1, games that are sold for a full retail price but are non-functional for one reason or another upon release. Now, this can actually go in two completely different directions depending on the kind of game that you're talking about.
What does that mean, two different ways? I don't understand. Oh, yeah, depending on the game, this particular point can go one or two ways. What does that mean? Like, is there a good reason? What?
But the bottom line is, in recent years, when you go out and you buy a new game, a lot of the times you almost come home feeling like, am I a gamer and a consumer, or am I just a first wave game tester? Because an alarmingly increasing number of games have been released that when you bring them home, you put them into your console or load them up on your PC, they just don't function properly. Let's take a look. First of all, a multiplayer game that comes to mind recently that was hyped for half a year, had several waves of betas, only to be completely non-functional at launch, is Street Fighter V. To make matters worse, unlike previous iterations of this game franchise, Capcom decided to make this game primarily focused only on multiplayer.
Wait. Capcom took Street Fighter, a game where you fight people, and focus on the multiplayer aspect of Street Fighter? Dude, soon they're gonna have tournaments, and they're gonna have an event called like an EVO thing? Maybe a Capcom Pro Tour tournament thing? Maybe they're gonna have, maybe when I go to some conventions, they're gonna have like booths there where people can fight against each other and get a prize and the winner gets a prize. Dude, what if they do that? Yeah, man, I'm surprised they made that Capcom took Street Fighter and made it a competitive fighting game. Okay.
Competitive gameplay being bare bones at launch with offline content. Well, the servers didn't work. You couldn't even do the offline stuff without getting disconnected the first few days of playing.
Yeah, you can. I played survival mode and story mode without online. You just get booted out if you only get booted out if you were connected, and then you gone to the mode, and then all of a sudden you get disconnected again. That's why, like, if you knew that was going on, you don't try to reconnect to the server because that you could have gotten dropped out regardless. So if you get dropped out once, if you get like disconnected, just continue playing the game without connecting to the internet, and then you'll be able to finish survival mode without getting that kind of shit. But it's like, you can play the game offline. I've done it before.
it, and most people that bought this game expecting a robust gameplay experience barely got a handful of matches in the first week of launch and ended up completely frustrated and underwhelmed by this latest numbered entry in the series. Now, how about some games that for whatever reason had online capability enabled all the time? Games like the latest Sim City or Diablo 3. That's right, games that are single player in nature, but for whatever reason the game developers decided they would have an online always component where if you weren't connected to the internet, you could never play the game. What ended up happening was these games at launch were completely unplayable with servers crashing and over.
I remember Diablo 3. That was something, and I'm glad I think they ended up fixing and getting rid of that system. At least I know the consoles don't have that system, so that's good.
Overloading, and overall consumers feeling duped, thinking that they had bought games that normally would have been cool installments of these ongoing franchises, but instead they weren't able to play when they wanted to. It took weeks and weeks for these issues to be sorted out, and it was absolutely unacceptable from a customer satisfaction standpoint. But now let's jump to the other edge of the situation here. Single player games that just simply don't work, or buggy, or just look like crap at launch, and you're like, what happened here? Recent entries, one would be Dying
But he loved Fallout 4 though, and that game has bugs in it. Okay.
Light from 2015, a zombie survival game where you're in first person, it's open world, you're doing parkour across this cool open world city-like map, but at launch the game was rife with bugs. There was clipping issues, enemies would pop in and out of nowhere and not load properly. There were crazy game bugs that wouldn't allow you to upgrade your character or would completely empty out your inventory. In my case, it took away all of my upgrade points and then gave me a bunch of points that I could only put into one skill tree, so I ended up totally having abilities in the game that I shouldn't have had early on as I was, and I just went turboing through the game because I was overpowered. I mean, it was completely unacceptable. They eventually fixed it, but by the time they fixed it, everyone who bought it at launch had already played through it, leaving us feeling with an unbalanced gameplay experience. How about Homefront: The Revolution from earlier this year? My God. Now, if you ever talk about a game that was unoptimized for consoles or had problems, this would be the one. This is one of the worst games I've ever played simply because you could tell that no proper effort was put into making this game function on the PlayStation 4 console that I played it on. A sub 20 frames per second frame rate for a large part of it. Game bugs, game mechanics that were wonky. It just didn't feel like the game was refined or polished at all, and that it really was rushed out to the public in an attempt to be a cash grab rather than anything else. Of course, some people now tell me the game's been fixed, but I don't care. I played it at launch. It was a piece of shit then.
You played 1 hour or so at launch, and then I was like, oh, I'm done. I lost interest. Like, he could have, like, he didn't make it that far. Like, if he made it, like, halfway in the game, I could see him, like, saying, I don't care, I don't want to, like, play that game anymore. I could understand that, but he didn't make it that far in the game to begin with. And he's already like, oh, I'm done, I don't care. Like, okay.
No desire to go back to it, so tough shit. I'm thinking back now a couple years ago to a little game called Assassin's Creed Unity, which is a game that is now infamous amongst gamers as being one of the most buggy at launch, entire faces melting and not loading properly, and all kinds of physics bugs. I actually had a bug where a mission didn't load and I got stuck in the ground, and the frame rate was completely inconsistent for most of the game. It's a shame because the game and the story of the game were actually pretty good. The fact that it just didn't run well on consoles, being console exclusives, next-gen console exclusives, is just unacceptable, and it was just such a snafu that Ubisoft actually collected.
He sounds really drunk in this video because he's like, oh, it's really bad, you know, like, he just sounds like he's, like, drunk and he's trying to cover up his drunkenness.
He came out and apologized for how bad the game was and said, listen, please give us the benefit of the doubt, the next one will be better. And you know what? The bottom line was the next Assassin's Creed was better, but a lot of people skipped out on it because of what a shitbag Unity was, and that's a shame. Now this year in 2016, we're not even getting an Assassin's Creed game as they're taking more time to develop the next one. Good, because if I play another game like that, that's a piece of shit.
I was already burnt out on Assassin's Creed because they released one every year. It kind of became Call of Duty for Ubi, so I'm glad that they're like, oh, we're not gonna release one every year anymore. So I'm glad they did that, because if they kept doing it, I would stop caring about Assassin's Creed.
launch, I'm probably going to swear off the series at this point. The bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, we deserve better as consumers. If we're going to put down our hard-earned money on day one, that game should be fucking functional, it should be working properly, it should be a fun and robust gameplay experience. And the bottom line is, we are not being respected by game developers and game publishers at all.
We're not getting respected. Okay, look. There is this one issue I have with gaming as a whole, is that gamers have this sense of entitlement. And obviously not every gamer has this, but recently, or somewhat recently, people have been like saying like, we deserve this, we deserve that. Like, look at Mass Effect 3. I mean, I know that's like an old game at this point, but, you know, they got an ending they didn't like, and they demanded a new ending, and then EA caved in and gave them a new ending. And it's like, you didn't like the ending. Like, that's all that was. You didn't have to, like, fucking demand for, an ending. You could just be like, oh, I don't like the ending, and then to say that, oh, Mass Effect 3 is a whatever game, but the ending sucked. That's it. You didn't have to demand a new ending because of whatever reason that is. I mean, I didn't really play Mass Effect, but I don't know. I just thought it was a little ridiculous how people were, like, reacting to the whole thing. So yeah, it's not about respect. It's just, the other thing is that these game developers have to abide deadlines. Like, you know, some companies are like, okay, we can delay it to make the game better if it needs to be delayed, but not a lot of companies want to delay their game because they don't want to do that, and that's why we get games like this, because they don't want to delay their game. And most of the times, games should be delayed more often than not delayed.
They're seeing us as an immature fan base who are just gonna throw money at anything because we're a bunch of little kids who are ravenous for new games.
Yes, that's why they do it, not because they have to abide deadlines or that they have work to do. No, it's because they see us as immature people that would just buy anything. Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. That's why Ghostbusters was such a successful game, right? Because they thought that they could get away with. This is dumb. I can't believe you even said that. Like, he needlessly insulted game developers. Like, oh yeah, they gave us unfinished games because they fucking disrespect us and think we're stupid little kids. Like, no, they have deadlines and all that. Like, that's why there's a lot of bad TV shows out there, because they have deadlines to meet. They have to cut corners. They have to crunch things. It's, you know, there's only so many hours within a week. Like, they can't just add time. I mean, they could delay it, sure, but most of the time they can't delay it for some reason or another. The fact that Homefront got delayed and it still is, you know, performs this badly just shows that they thought that they can release the game within that time period, and then they couldn't, as you can see when you see the game.
And it's garbage. Gaming is now the biggest entertainment industry on planet Earth, surpassing movies, television, and anything else.
Planet Earth, and it's surpassing movies and television shows. Not really, but okay.
You can think of. We speak with our dollar, and we deserve respect when we go and spend our hard-earned money on a brand new game. When we bring home a stinker,
we deserve respect for games that we buy that with our money, because that's something that's respectable, is giving you money. That's not respectable. You're just buying shit. Like, there's nothing respectable about buying video games. It's not a respectable thing. It's just buying shit. What's respectable is getting a job, working, getting paid for your work, doing all that kind of shit, sustaining a family, all that kind of stuff. Not buying video games. That's not respectable. It's fucking, you're buying video games. Come on.
Non-functioning piece of shit, a game that tries to nickel and dime us for everything that we're worth. We need to rise up collectively and give a middle finger to these companies that don't.
Look, okay, let's. In my original video, I did a little fun little search for middle finger. And it was this finger. This is where he got the finger. And guess what, guys? This is a PNG of a middle finger. So, see those squares? That means that this image was already cut out. So, he could not get, like, you know, this image and just cut out the middle finger. No. he chose this one. It had that was already cut for him, so that way he didn't have to spend any extra hours editing. I mean, honestly, if I was making the video, I would have thrown this image because that's just kind of funny. But he chose this one because it was already cut out for him. What a fucking lazy piece of shit. Like, I could have done this easily. Wow. Wow, very lazy. Lazy.
Don't give us the...
He doesn't respect his viewers by giving us the time, by satisfying our time with giving us, quality images. No, he has to fucking get images that are cut out for him.
Respect and the time of day to put out a quality product by not buying again and by panning the shit out of them on social media. It has to be done. Let your voice be heard. When you play another piece of crap at launch, speak out against it. And that is it for my top 10 worst things about modern gaming.
What a piece of shit. And also spread the word at KOGaming. So let's look at some of these hot comments. I have to say I appreciate the quality of your commentary and the editing. No. But it seems silly to split up a top 10 into 3 parts. 1 video is enough. 1 to 2 videos is enough. Three parts is fucking stupid. It makes no sense to do that. Nickel and dime. You know what? You know what I mean? FYI, but I digress. Number 1 should be Reach Quits. Destiny is shit. People defending it are addicts. Or they had fun. I mean, it's not like Phil. No. Prove it. Yeah, prove it. Prove it that they're addicts. You said the bottom line like 20 times. Yeah, bottom line. Unbeatable bosses in easy mode. Oh my God. I love these. I agree. No. Some of the points are silly. Alright, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with this video. Thanks for watching. As I said in my last video, yes, Friday, starting Friday, I won't be doing any DSP videos for 2 weeks. I'm going to be taking a quick little break. So, I will return to do DSP videos after those 2 weeks. Trust me, I will. But, I'm taking a mini little break after that. So, I'll be uploading some DSP videos this week before Friday, but I'll be taking a break. So, thanks for watching. Hope you understand that. See you next time.